We'll be hearing about the stories of people who own these cars and who worked in the factory of American Motors. It started out as Jeffrey Motors, later on Nash, and then became American Motors. Hey, we're with Lou Regani, and I heard you had American Motor cars. Can you explain what American Motor cars you had?
Yeah, let's see. My first car was a Nash, 1940 Lafayette, black four-door, $30. Got it from a neighbor. He didn't want it anymore. Had no first gear, so you just drag the clutch and start out in second and third. It was a stripper, just had a heater. Yeah, had. And I drove that through high school and I sold it to my neighbor across the street. Then, after that, I started buying more American Motors cars and Nash. And I had, my dad always was loyal to the city. And he figured American Motors or Nash, part of the city. I grew up with a 40 Nash, my dad's. He had an Ambassador four-door, nice one. And he had it, he was 6 months old when he bought it from my uncle. Uncle wanted a LaSalle, so that's what he bought. Remember them?
Yeah.
GRO LaSalle Wrangler.
Yeah.
You know that story with LaSalle? And the story in the song that Archie and Edith were singing? Mm. Nobody knew what a LaSalle was. And so they had to record it much slower. Remember that story?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. American Motors, yeah. They were good. I helped build them, or at least in the engines. The worst thing about it was that front wheel that always broke, and they never fixed it. There was a kind of an in-joke in the city. You would drive around, some American Motors car would be there, and the wheel would fold under the car when you're turning a corner. And it was kind of a silly-looking Laurel and Hardy thing. They never fixed it. Went on year after year, and it must have hurt them bad.
What do you think was one of their best-selling cars? American Motors' one of their best-selling cars.
Rambler in '58. They made that car in '56, and it was a nice mid-size American four-door. I don't think they made a two-door in '58, in '56. Did they? No, they made wagons, four doors and wagons. Yeah. And then in '58. For some reason, it took off. They put fins on it. And it was the number 3 selling car in the United States. There was Chevrolet, Ford, and then Rambler. And Plymouth was left behind. I don't think they made Chrysler happy.
And what do you think was the success of American Motors?
Then the next year, they came out with a warmed over 53 Rambler. They call it the American. And it was titled, I think, as a 59. I could be wrong, but I think it was a 59. And George Romney, the chief operating officer, he was going through the warehouse or something, and what are all these? Well, that's the tools for the 53 Rambler. And I'm sure there's more to the story. But he said, let's make it again, a subcompact. So that took off. 100-inch wheelbase, I think. I think the Ramblers, the full-size one was 108. And then on top of that, they had the Ambassador, which was a Rambler that had a longer hood, and it was more trimmed. And that was like a mid-sized car.
And it's funny, the Ambassadors, weren't they used for the police cars?
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know that. I knew that, and you know, but I think this generation didn't realize that the police car was made here right in Kenosha.
Yeah, it was a Rambler police package, and it was so good that people were ordering it in all these municipalities around the nation and beyond, Canada, Mexico, and even better, Streets of San Francisco was a TV show. They had all these Rambler police packages. It was a four-door car, usually painted police colors, with the bubble gum. They used to use those, and spotlight. and then a decal on the side. Well, all these car companies, all these municipalities are using Rambler cars and getting free publicity for American Motors, and then they discontinued it. The company discontinued that package, and and all that free publicity was lost. You got to wonder what these people were thinking. I don't know who made that choice, but that made the press. Why? What does it take to make a police package? Heavy-duty springs, heavy-duty starter, alternator, battery. But no, they discontinued it. They discontinued a lot of good-selling cars. And the Nash was profitable, and Hudson, but because it's an upper-scale car, and they got quite a bit more than they did for the Rambler, and they discontinued those models. I think that was a bad decision in '57. The last Nash and Hudson were built on June 25th, '57. It was a high-profit car. They discontinued them.
What do you think is one of the decline, of the American Motors cars?
Well, a lot of competition. And look at Chrysler. Has anybody seen a new Chrysler? A 2025 Chrysler? I guess they make one model and it's a van. What do they call it again? Do you remember?
The key van?
I'll think of it in a second. Pacifica. No more sedans, no more convertible, nothing. Chrysler was the deluxe, the prestige car for Chrysler Corporation, which I guess is now what? Stellantis? Plymouth is gone, DeSoto. They have Dodges, and I guess that's a reputable brand, but who's buying it? You know who's got a Dodge or had a Dodge? Very loyal to the brand was Dale Destruction. He was buying Dodges, yeah.
And you worked at WLIP. Did they do any promotions for American Motors cars?
No, not that Well, wait a minute. Back in the 70s, there was a program called the American Motor Show. Motor singular, no S. And it was in the morning and in the afternoon. I think American Motors paid for that. I remember the producer, Jim Bradley. Nice guy. My neighbor. And the idea was, I think, for the employees to come to work with news about American Motors. And on the way home, there was a second repeat, and that was about, likewise, I guess, interviews with employees, upcoming cars, promotions, and other trivia that had nothing to do with the company. And Jim was very good at it. So they bought time, I think, from WLIP. And they bought Jim's services as a producer, and it was done from the old employment office on 56th Street and 26th Avenue. Remember that? Charlie Nash built that. That came down. It was abandoned afterward. And it's kind of too bad. That would have made a great museum. There's a story.
My faint memories of American Motors, I used to live right by American Motors. And I remember the employees putting their cars, parking the cars in the neighborhood. Yeah. And not only in the neighborhood, they also had the cars in their own parking lot. And there was a lot of people, I think, 10,000 people working in American Motors?
Oh, more than that. At one time, I used to know, I think there were 16,000 in 1958 when sales were sky high, when that four-door Rambler took off. And that car lasted, I think, when did that car last? I think until the 64 models. Then they redesigned that and the Ambassador. Basically the same car. And then they redesigned it again could be wrong, Ambassador got a new body in 67 and 68, and then they went into the skids. In 67, they lost $75 million in 67. All good line of cars. They had a full line. Hardtops, convertibles, wagons, and sport cars, Javelin. Well, I don't know if that's really a sport car. It's personal luxury, sporty. And the AMX, which was a cut-down Javelin. They lost all this money, and then they got rid of the chairman, or was he the president? Roy Abernethy. Remember him? You do? Yeah, he was the guy that wanted to go nose to nose against the big three. Well, the problem with that is you got to have the sales of the big three, because American Motors wasn't doing that kind of business. And if they had gone nose to nose, they'd have to redesign their cars every year. Cars used to be redesigned every few years. And they didn't have that kind of money with the lower sales they made. And right around that time, Studebaker quit too. They quit in '66. And you know, the funny thing about Studebaker, they were still making money. They were made in Canada. And then the next year, American Motors said, we got to stretch our money and not go nose to nose. We have to come out with models that are specialized. Compacts or innovative. They came out with Pacer. Pacer was supposed to have a rotary engine, and it was not available, not able to be adapted. So they came out with the 6-cylinder engine, and somewhere along the line they shoehorned a V8 in there. Go figure. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That was a fast car. They used the Pacer in Oh God with John Denver and George Burns.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm glad you've seen it. Hollywood used a lot of American Motors cars.
Yeah.
I mean, like Fast Time on Ridgemont High, Wayne's World.
Pacer there.
The Pacer. Gremlin, I think, was in Fast Time on Ridgemont High. James Bond movie with the Concorde. They used
Right.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of that movie.
The Man with the Golden Gun.
Oh, that's the one?
Yeah. With
American Motors had some kind of an in deal with them.
Yeah.
If you notice, everybody's driving an American Motor. In that, they did a stunt with a, was it a Javelin or a Concorde that did?
I think it was a Concorde. It was like a plane. They made it into an airplane.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Christopher Lee was so tall they had to make the car special for him because he's like 6'4".
Yeah, great guy.
I think one of the great. I just it was amazing that they had an American Motors car and not a foreign car in the James Bond movie. I thought that was kind of cool.
Right. That picture was real successful. One day, in the late '90s it was. He had a big American Motors parade downtown.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I took movies of it. I wonder if it still exists.
Yeah.
The movies, I mean.
I know. I think during July they have the, we'll be showing this in July. That they have the cars, the American Motors cars coming back to home to Kenosha.
Oh, the homecoming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's at Kennedy Park on the lakefront.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. But I think it was 98. Maybe that's when the parade was. It was an anniversary for American Motors or Nash. Maybe it was Nash. I don't remember the detail. There was a real good guy who was in charge of a John Henkin. Remember him? You do?
Well, I didn't remember, but I heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Parkside a staffer. Maybe he was a professor. I don't know. And he got all kinds of money together to put a big promotional newspaper insert, and I edited it. And it was printed locally, and that was an insert into newspapers. And you must have a copy here. Not you, but the library.
Yeah.
We're in the Kenosha Library, Kenosha Southwest Library. And part of the activity was a parade downtown. So the parade was from Library Park down Main Street, 6th Avenue, out to somewhere north. I don't know. And the parade was supposed to be zoom, zoom, the cars going quickly. I said, what kind of a parade? Slow down, we'll talk about the cars. Oh, they had some nice cars in there. They had a 32 Nash Ambassador 8, gorgeous. And they had a Woody Nash. It was a 48 Nash Suburban made of wood. And blue and wood, if you can imagine. Nobody remembers that. And he stopped and said, stop right there, and then this car's got wood, blah, blah, blah. And, goodbye, thank you, and then the next car. And it's a good thing we did that, because otherwise the parade would have been like 2 seconds long, and all you'd see is a flash of color, and that would be it, So anyway, that worked out good. I wonder who's got that recording. Must be in the archive, maybe the city. They keep those, don't they?
I think so.
Yeah, they do, yeah. Anyway, Ralph, what else you got?
Oh, I just want to, what is your memories, what are your prized memories of American Motors cars?
The memories of the car? Oh, they had a nice deal back in the early 50s, I think 52. It was copied by General Motors for Saturn. Remember that car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's the deal. They built that building, which is still there, the last American Motors building, on 52nd Street at 27th Ave. Now it's part of a packaging concern.
Yeah.
Recycled it. Well, that was the dealer drive-away. You came to Kenosha from anywhere. A lot of people took the North Shore Line, which is right there. They had a platform right there. You could take the train from anywhere and or connect to it and get off there and walk about 300 yards, and there you're in the dealer drive-away. You could watch your car being built. They had Nash and Rambler at that time. Rambler was, I think, the 100-inch wheelbase. And you follow the car around, and at the end, when the car comes through that overhead bridge that had Nash up there, red neon, and then you had coffee, breakfast maybe, and they gave you the keys, shake your hand, and you drive off in your car. That didn't last long. But Saturn wound up doing that. And so did Kaiser Frazer. And Nash stole that from Kaiser Frazer. Yeah, they had a building, it looked like a big Georgian cottage, beautiful. This would be from 47 till, I don't know when 53 I think they quit that. But Nash said, that's a good idea, let's do it. And then Saturn took it from those two companies. Yeah, dealer drive-away, good idea. It made you feel like you're part of the company. Well, I remember that was we didn't do that, that was over. One thing I didn't like. I was gonna buy a new American Motors Matador, a Cooper. And what happened was I called the dealer and I got a price, and with the equipment I wanted, this was 77. And and then the resistance transportation would be $250, $300. Well, that's no problem. I can just pick it up right there out of the lot. Oh no, you got to pay transportation. Why? I live 2 blocks from the lot, which was on 50th Street and 26th Avenue. It's still there, right? There's a school on there now.
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah.
Right. And I said, you got to pay. It's standard procedure. Well, why? What do you mean? Who am I paying? Well, you're paying it from the transport. Give me some flap doodle, I don't remember. I said, I'll come, give me the keys, I'll give you the check. No, you got to pay. I said, no. I ordered a new Chrysler Cordoba, and it had less transportation, and the car was made in Canada. It was like 10, 20 bucks cheaper. That was kind of the way they ripped off Kenosha people. If you went to a dealer, it wasn't the dealer's fault. We had 2 here in Kenosha. There was one called Kenosha Rambler, and then there was Topol Rambler. Yeah. And there was another one in Zion, Winthrop Harbor. Can't think of the name of that right now. And there were a couple of them. Racine had one, and most communities had one, yeah. A lot of people went to Winthrop Harbor to buy one. I don't know why. But that transportation cost, that made me mad. And I worked there. I used to work for them. Not at the time, I quit. I had a 10-year sentence at American Motors. And that wasn't a pleasant experience working there. No. But it was my first job. Well, beside a gas station and one day in a bakery. Am I talking too much?
No, you're doing good. No, but I appreciate it, and thank you very much, Lou.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
That's it, and like I said, we're going to have more people about the American Motors Corporation.
Yeah.
And then we'll have, when this documentary is done, it'll be shown, so.
and hiring, 1979 hire at American Motors, shortly then bought out by Chrysler. There's not a favorite car that I don't have with Chrysler or AMC. We always had AMCs growing up. I'm a third generation auto worker. There was never any foreign cars at our house. And it was a hard work, but it was fun work. You made a good living. Unfortunately, a lot of times I was laid off, but then you went back to work and you saved your money. You worked hard, and it was a nice. It was Kenosha. You know, somebody knew somebody that worked there. But yeah, the cars. I worked on one of the last Pacers that was ever built. Motor division after a while. The last 4.0 motor, had my hand on working on that. But it was, like I said, it was fun. It was hard. You did make a very, very good living, and it's nice to see all the people that are getting AMC cars now and redoing them so that they're on the streets. Right now we drive a 1981 AMC Concorde, a DL model, and it's very, very comfortable, solid, and it's fun. People stop. Oh, I remember my grandpa had one, my aunt had one, my mom worked there. People stop you all the time, pumping gas. They ask a lot of questions. What is it? Some people have no idea what AMC cars are. But yeah, it's part of Kenosha history, part of my history. And yeah, we have fun. We drive them. My husband works on them. And we go to car shows and enjoy it. See Marlin, and I remember a Marlin. I only knew one on the north side of Kenosha. Always liked them. 2 years ago, my husband found one, redid it. It's like a piece of jewelry. It's absolutely gorgeous with all the chrome and the color. I don't drive that one very often, but it is a beautiful. It's like in your living room couch. It's so comfortable driving down the road. And very much enjoying that one. Really, people don't understand where that one. They only produce them for 3 years, so there's not a lot of them left. So when you see one, they're like, "What's that?"
My name is Nick Alfano. I own Alfano Performance. I guess how I got started in this was when I was a kid. My father worked at American Motors. A lot of my relatives did, my grandfather, uncles, and so on. So we always had American Motors cars around. When I was, 15, my dad and I bought a 68 AMX together, and I was learning how to drive in the middle of winter. So I tell this story to people. It's something that's stuck with me my whole life. In Kenosha back in the day, they didn't plow and salt the way they do today. So we had this 68 AMX with a 394 speed. It had a posi rear end in it with bias ply tires, and I remember saying to my dad, there was snow on the ground and it was packed down. And over by where I guess now it's across the street from here, the gas station, it used to come up on a slope to that stoplight, and we were kind of at the base of it. And we were trying to get going, and I said to him, how am I going to get this car moving? It's just sliding all over the place. And he says, kid, if you could drive this car in the snow, you'll be able to drive anything. And that's just, that car today, I still know where it is. I was in the process of buying it back, and a good friend of mine really wanted a 68 AMX, and he bought it and still has that car. So it's still around. Going on, I went on to work in the pharmaceutical industry. I worked there for 30 years, but I started this business maybe 25, 30 years ago, building performance parts because there was stuff that just wasn't available for these cars. I still had them, some myself, a Javelin AMX. Probably still to this day my favorite of all the cars that I've owned, 71 401 4-speed car. And from there, got to developing some parts for them, building engines for guys around the country. I've got customers outside the United States, Germany, Norway, Italy, and a few other places. And just kind of grew into a business. Now we do build a lot of performance engines, we modify Jeeps, and I've got quite a collection of them myself. I think I'm somewhere, my wife exaggerates the number, but I think it's somewhere around 42 AMCs and Jeeps in all. But the sickness, I guess, just kept growing. It's one of those car brands that you don't see a lot of them when you get outside of Kenosha. So it's kind of neat when people say, oh, I remember my parents had a Gremlin, or we had a Hornet growing up, and my mom used to drive us to school in that thing in the mornings. I love that car. Or we had an old American convertible or something. So the stories are rampant. It's kind of neat when you see a car like that that's not a Camaro or a Chevelle that you see everywhere else at car shows. You see something unique, and there's still quite a few of them around. Every few years we have a big show here in Kenosha. There's one coming up this summer. We get anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 cars, and people from all over the world fly in just to be here for that show. So it's a good history about American Motors. It's something that some of us kind of wish was still around. I think if things were a little bit different back then and Renault wasn't involved with AMC, who knows, they might still be here. Everybody, you look at when Chrysler purchased American Motors back in, 87 going into 88. Everybody was thinking they know it's because of Jeep. That was a big portion of it, but there were a couple other big reasons that I think a lot of people didn't realize. One, Chrysler was in a lot of trouble themselves. They had no design work. They didn't have their plants were ailing. Their funds were low. AMC had a brand new plant. They had just built a state-of-the-art plant in Brampton, Canada, and then they also had something that Chrysler didn't have, and that was 25 years of R&D in their back pocket, and they had some of the best design engineers in the business. So they were basically buying 25 years of research. A lot of what you saw from Chrysler from the late 80s on into the 2000s came from American Motors. So it was kind of neat. You kind of think back, and if things were different and maybe Renault wasn't involved, it's kind of neat to think that maybe AMC would have been able to make an argument to buy Chrysler. But we all know how that went. So I don't know, that's kind of where my journey has gone over the years. I keep collecting more and more as I get older, but it's a great brand, great car company. Sad to see them leave and fall apart, but we still have all the memories, and we still have a lot of cars left, and a lot of people still enjoying them every day.
car was so popular that the Ambassador was used for police cars. And one of its cars was used on a James Bond movie, The Man with the Golden Gun.
Thanks for tuning in to Channel 14, Kenosha Community Television. Remember to tune into my program, Just Talkin', shown right here, Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. until 9 p.m. on Channel 14. On the program, we cover community events, talk to nonprofit organizations, and who knows, we may bump into a celebrity now and then. So remember to tune in to Just Talkin' Tuesday and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. right here on Channel 14.
Kenosha Community Media. For years, we have informed, entertained, and performed community services for the city of Kenosha. Kenosha Community Media is your television station where you are the star, creator, and performer. To contact us, 262-564-6103. Website, kenoshamedia.org.
Hello everyone. Do you like the world of wrestling? Especially now, this is the greatest time to be a fan of wrestling. Now, we have a show that's a weekly basis called Everything That's Wrestling.
That's right, we do have a show that's called Everything Wrestling.
So if you like Raw,
I love Raw. I like the stuff that's going on in Raw right now. I like seeing Bobby Lashley, The Miz, Dexter Lumis. I like seeing the tag teams they have in there, Alpha Academy, Street Profits. I like everything that Raw is doing right now.
outstanding. Do you like SmackDown?
I love SmackDown. I like seeing the Bloodline sometimes, like the Usos, Sol Sakai, Drew McIntyre, Karrion Kross, Ronda Rousey. Wow, SmackDown is so much better than Raw.
Yeah, and of course that's because of Triple H.
That's Triple H.
Again, it's a great time to be in wrestling. Do you like AEW?
I love AEW.
They have Dynamite,
Jon Moxley, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Garcia, Chris Jericho. A lot of top talents over in AEW.
There's also Rampage.
I kind of like Rampage. I like with the promos, the young guys they introduce. Rampage is just all right.
So if you like wrestling, tune in to Everything in Wrestling on Mondays at 5 p.m. and on Fridays at 5 p.m. And tune in, and we'll probably do something different each week. So tune in to Everything That's Wrestling,
please.
Hey kids, do you guys like cartoons?
I love cartoons!
Do you like to see the old classic cartoons that your families were raised with?
I would love to, but where can I watch those at?
Well, we're bringing back classical cartoons with Mr. Bunker's Cartoon Apocalypse, where we resurrect old cartoons.
Oh, when is it on?
On Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings at 10:30, where you get to see classic cartoons like Betty Boop.
I love Betty Boop.
Popeye.
Big Popeye fan.
We have great Huckle and Jekyll.
Oh, I love those.
So Kenosha Community Media is bringing back the classical cartoons with Mr. Bunker's Cartoon Apocalypse.
Question, does Mr. Bonkers have any friends on that show?
He has a lot of friends. We're hosting, Chalk and Manimal, but he has great friends like Chef Luigi.
Look over the stop, the kids.
He has Peanut the Peacock.
Hello, kids.
He has Cinnamon the Ape.
What's going on, brothers?
And his friend that also hosts a different show, it's Klutz the Clown.
Hey, kids, it's tough being a clown.
So if you enjoy cartoons, if you want to watch something that's whimsical and nostalgic, please tune into Mr. Bonker's Cartoon Apocalypse, Saturdays and Sundays, Saturdays at 10, Sundays at 10:30. And we would enjoy to join us because you could be our circus freaks. Bye, kids.
Goodbye, kids.
Hey, Bambinos. Do you like movies?
I sure do. I like the movies.
Yeah, we have a new show called What the Heck Are We Watching?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, it's a show that we review movies for coming weeks.
No, what are we watching? You said what the heck are we watching? You tell me.
We're watching the movies.
Oh, that's all right. We're watching the movies. Hey, you knew we were doing this promo. How come you didn't put your shoes on? That's a little unprofessional, no?
Because we like to be freelancing, and we every Friday at 5 and Saturdays at 10:30 you can listen to our reviews.
We have a great reviews. We're better than those other jabronis that used to do the reviews, huh?
Yeah, if you like Cisco and Ebert, you'll love us better. What the heck are we doing? Oh, watching.
I don't know what we're doing half the time either, but what the heck are we watching?
What the heck are we watching? We go over movies, we give them thumbs up, thumbs down, if we like them, and basically, we tell you if you want to go see a movie or not.
That's all right. And the most important message you get from the show is, visit your grandparents.
Yeah.
It takes 10 to 15 minutes. Just go see them, give them a kiss, some of the hugs, and go to visit, huh?
So on Fridays at 5.
And Saturday morning to 10:30.
What the heck are you doing watching?
What are you doing right now? It's what the heck are we watching? Sorry, my wife is suffering some of dementia, but it's a what the heck are we watching?
What the heck are we watching? Bye, Bambinos!
Now, my question I have to ask now, where the heck are we parking, right?
At service!
All right.
Just Turned Heel, hosted by Danger Dan and Diablo Angelico, as seen on Every Ring That's Everything Wrestling. Behind the curtain look at professional wrestling. A gritty shoot style of interviews where we look at various aspects of wrestling. Ever wanted to know what an indie star needs to do to get their foot in the door? Ever wanted to know what a booker does? Ever wanted to know the purpose of a referee is? Just Turned Heel will plunge into the world of wrestling and look at every facet. Just Turned Heel, YouTube exclusive, starting January 28, 2024.
Beware, take care. The little green dragon sits on your doorstep. He eats little boys, puppy dog tails, and big, fat snails. Beware! Pull the string! Pull the string! Dr. Destruction's Crimson Theater can be viewed on Saturdays at 9 o'clock, Tuesdays at 3 o'clock, and Fridays at midnight. All right, ghoulies, you tune in. You won't be let down.
You haven't seen horror till you've seen horror of the crying skull. See teenagers getting killed. See horror coming at you every scene, and a skull. See the skull coming at you. The skull, and hear her cry. I hope you enjoy the horror of the crying skull.